Okay.
another workshop, and this workshop is centered on dance on camera. What is dance on camera? Yes, what is dance on camera as I remove my mask? Welcome, one and all, to a new approach to dance in Jamaica. New approach to some of us, but others of us have been working with technology for a good while now. And JCDC consider it a privilege to bring this new happening and have us all in Jamaica understand what is happening in dance in general. So, right at this moment, I'm going to show you a particular video dance. Good. And I want you to write down some objectives, some words that will flash in your mind watching this presentation. Look for the environment in which the dance was done. Look at the additional paraphernalias or objects that are in the environment, in the space, in the location, and assess also the mood of the dancer. So we go straight to our first video dance. I want to remind you that if you need to receive a certificate of participation, you can now go ahead and type your name in the chat and the parish that you are from. So that is your first and last name and the parish that you're from. And you could also type in the fact that you're a first time teacher, entering the competition. So you can do that right now. Good. So remember, get your pen and paper and watch.
Bring them up. Oh, you just stop right there. Oh, okay.
How was that? How was that? So you can unmute your mic and just tell me the words that you would have written down on your paper describing the presentation, the video dance that you just saw. Yes, I'm seeing some words in the chat. unmute your mic and just shout out your descriptive words. I'm seeing some words going. I'm waiting for somebody to unmute their mic and speak. I'm seeing Miss Peter from St. James. Welcome, please, welcome.
Thank you.
So what were some of the words that were running through your mind when you saw that presentation?
Creative.
Creative? Why was it creative? Why was it creative, Miss
Elaborate.
Peter?
No, I did. It wasn't me that said creative.
Who said creative?
Miss Pinnock did.
Miss Pinnock, yes. Why you said creative, Miss Pinnock?
Because the move, they were unique. They were very unique. It's not like things you see every day, and it's not everyone that can do these things. They were well thought out and planned. So creative.
Okay, so my question to anybody in the Zoom community, how did you think the technology, the use of the camera enhance that creativity that you are talking about?
Sir, I thought it was very effective. The use of the camera angles helped to show different depth in the movement, especially when they had that scene with the mirror reflecting the sky. It just
Yeah.
added to all the creative aspects of the dance, especially in the beginning when she is squatting. Just the camera moving with her, showing the dynamics was very helpful.
Good observation. Awesome, awesome. And that is the purpose of dance on camera. Taking this technology, merging it with the dance, with the aim of creating magic. Creating magic. Because if you're going to present the dance in its usual fashion, that would be what we call dance documentation, or just recording the dance, for so that you can look back at it in the future. So I am so happy that you are seeing some of the objectives for this year's competition. The beauty of video dance is that it takes a two-dimensional art form, which is the dance, actually a three-dimensional art form, which is the dance, into a two-dimensional art form, which is the video. So there is an interplay between the dance and the use of video technology, whether it being via the means of animations or other graphic works. Good? So this category consider the following. Dance on camera category provides a platform for choreographic storytelling and creative expression in an intimate access, creating innovative media artists knowledge to explore what we call cinematography. Good? Dance on camera is one in which the film/video are both integral to the work. The makers of dance film rather, or dance on camera, place the movement at the center. Place the movement at the center of it. Good. So the lighting is important. The balance of the foreground and the background. What is happening around you? That is critical. And on your screen, you're seeing now the idea behind this new competition. The use of video technology and the use of the artistic expression of the body. So we move on to the other slide. Good. And these are a list of some of the considerations, some of the things I would want you to think about. So one, we spoke about taking a three-dimensional expression into a two-dimensional expression. And if you look at bullet 4, both the video technology and the dance presentation itself is integral to the end product. Good, and Miss Lisa Wilson will talk about that some more. The third bullet point, you have to think about the environment in which the work is done. We call that the foreground or the background. You have to consider all of that. The last bullet point speaks about framing the shot. You know, you have to think about the depth, the width of the frame. You have to think about the dancer's body in relation to the frame. Couple of things to think about. So entry information. All dance-based film of any style or length will be accepted. Now, this is the first year of the competition, so we are quite liberal in how you enter and the length of your video. Good, because some of you would have been working on some video presentations before. 2, we consider the fact that if you have been working on a particular video dance in the year 2019, you can present that work in the competition. You can enter the work in the competition. There are various formats to enter your video presentation. There are several out there on your screen. You see one such, which is called Freeway. That is globally accepted. Good. I know that there are different formats. So we would love, though, that you ensure that it is in the QuickTime format, and you can see the various codons that are used in terms of you saving your file. Good? So more about that. We will talk about that as we go further in this evening presentation. So, good luck. We just want to provide a platform for you to showcase what you are doing, and JCDC is that organization that is providing that platform. Something new to consider, but let us try and, do our best at it. Good. Right. So we will move on to our first presentation of the day. The presenter is Mrs. Lisa Wilson. She's currently in South Africa. Because of the time difference, her presentation was pre-recorded. It is a conversation that I had with her, right? So enjoy it. Now remember, if you have any questions, just write it or type it in the chat rather, and I will answer it at the end of the presentation. So get your popcorn, get your juice, sit down and watch.
For accepting to participate in this dance on camera workshop. Something new in Jamaica. And I am thanking you so much for being a part of the Genesis. But before we get into the meat of the matter, when you were in Jamaica, you danced in our JCDC dance competition. Yes?
Oh, yes.
And in the background, I'm seeing some of your medals. You want to share some of the experiences?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, those were exciting days, exciting times. And I remember those long hours waiting in the theater, for the finals and the rounds that you do. But I think it was such an awesome opportunity for us as young dancers to showcase our talent and to also practice our art in a competitive way. It was also an opportunity to be inspired by what other people were doing, other competitors, were doing. And it was such a, with such an awareness and such celebration of the arts. It really, sometimes you don't value these opportunities until you're older.
Yes.
You realize how valuable they were for your development as an artist when you were young. But I thought those days kind of made us strong, made us passionate about getting medals or actually being recognized for the contribution you make, in small ways into the arts. And I'm sure a lot of young choreographers today had their foot somehow or got their first chance to express their voice as an artist through the
Good. And I do believe you were with Praise Academy of Dance.
Yes, we were in the semi-professional studio group.
Studio group.
Yeah, yes. And we were often in competition with Stella Maris and Wolmers and someone. And Tivoli, yes, I remember that. But yes, I remember in 2003 we won the Rex Nettleford trophy for the best studio group. That was like the pinnacle of the festival career. But it was, we had a lot of good works that time. I remember I just come back from Australia with my degree, and it was a great opportunity to actually showcase my new knowledge with Praise Academy. And we did some beautiful work that year. We won Best Modern Dance, Jazz, Contemporary. I think we took a lot of the categories home that time, but it was wonderful. Yeah.
Good, and that's the beauty of JCDC, unearthing, developing, and showcasing and preserving the best of Jamaica's culture.
I think when I look back, because I still have some of the videos from JCDC days. Actually, there's one on YouTube. I will show it to you. You can show it another time. But I do still have some snippets of when we were at festival, and those were really very good years. You can't throw away any of those experiences of dancing under the pressure of competition and dancing or preparing for JCDC. It was a production in itself. One had to go rehearsal, then one had to do costume fitting, So if you are not in a typical professional company, these are still the same skills that you're being nurtured, but in a more community context. Okay. But they are still the same skills that are transferable. And so I really appreciated those days because I think it was a very safe environment for me, I think, to practice what I was learning as an artist, developing artist. I found it a safe environment. I may not have agreed with some of the formats and the long hours and all the different things, but it is a valuable opportunity for you to be nurtured and your skills to be honed until you reach the big spotlight. So I really do think that I learned a lot from those days. And I still have my medal. I still look at them. I think the fact that they went to give us those medals, I think inspires you to keep going. Inspires you that that they value what you're doing and that you grow out of that. I don't want to stay stuck. You don't want to stay stuck. Inspirational. Feel like you are capable of being an artist or being further. Because not many of us can be in NDTC or anything at that stage. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I think accessibility, I celebrate that it gave access to a lot of different kind of people. I celebrate that it gave a space for young people to be nurtured and to launch or to discover more of who they are, whether this is what they want to do or not. And I think the fact that the government supported our school support, because I've been in JCDC from a high school. I'm a senior lecturer at the Center for Theatre, Dance and Performance Studies at the University of Cape Town. And so here I teach contemporary dance, and my specialization is dance education. So I do teach between the School of Education and I teach at the Center for Theatre, Dance, Performance Studies. My research is exploring artist-teacher identity. So I do both worlds, you know, the artist and developing the educator. And yeah, but how I got into the whole digital thing was with COVID, and we're not being able to teach online. You know, we had to find innovative ways of still engaging our students in movement. And so in one of my courses, I decided there was supposed to be interdisciplinary performance. And then I thought, well, since we can't meet, since we have to be socially distanced, well, let's just go for dance and film. That's quite interdisciplinary. And so that's how I kind of launched it here. And we got our first screen dance. Students doing their first screen dance. Obviously, it was quite a challenge because they danced and they wanted the filmmaker to do the rest. You know, and it wasn't like that to create an effective screen. But I train young people here and they get their degrees and their diploma in dance, and they move on to either go to get their postgraduate education as a certified dance teacher, or they can go on to further research into honors, masters, PhD programs in dance and theater. So that's what we do.
Now, Mrs. Wilson, let us go back to the meat of the matter and talk about dance on camera. I want you to give me a brief overview. In the Jamaican context, we call it dance on camera, but there are other worldviews and other thinkings. So I would want you to share with me an historical overview of dance on camera.
Okay, wow, historical overview. I mean, we have dance and film, or cinema or motion pictures have been around for a very long time, you know, from the days of when we had in particular with entertainment and Hollywood in America, where you had a lot of dance film from the days of Catherine Dunham, you know, when she was doing films for Hollywood with those early dance films that we later on in the era of jazz. You know, there was a lot of jazz films, movies in which dance and film were often coexisting. You know, since then, we've had other developments into more experimental films where artists are using the dance and the camera as two different kind of forms to have dialogue with each other, to create something that you cannot create either on the film industry alone or on a dance stage or in a proscenium arch theater. And so we have these interdisciplinary approaches coming together, and we have them, you know, some terminologies that are used: screen dance, video dance, dance with camera, dance for film. These are all terms that but I mean, there are some that give you the nuances or subtle nuances between them. I'm not that proficient with all of that, but these are words that people use interchangeably now: screen dance, video dance, and dance with camera. But I do think, like, the one distinction that people make between video dance and say screen dance and camera dance is that often when it came to film, it was often where the camera was used as a recording device. They were just capturing the motion. So that's more like video recording, you know what I mean? Where the camera itself was not.
Which is similar to dance documentation.
Right.
Okay.
Or you just archiving the moment, archiving the dance, but the film itself was not being used. You know, the techniques of the film itself wasn't used artistically to dialogue or engage with the creation of the dance itself on the camera.
Okay, so this is where
there were just two different entities where the dance and then the camera was just capturing the dance. So it's just being, now when we're talking camera, we're talking more of more engagement between and the dance, where the camera itself can act as a choreographer. The camera itself is moving. The camera itself is choreographing and helping to shape how the audience or the viewer receives the dance, engages with the dance. And so the both of them work to create the ultimate choreography at the end.
So with that thinking, we are talking about best practices, right? So it is critical that you use the technology, right?
Right.
Far above just documenting or recording, we're saying you need to use the technology. Moving away from that, let us speak about the environment in which you record the dance, yes? But also the environment that is created by the technology itself.
Right.
Let us explore that.
Okay, so when when we merge dance and film, just like when you're doing a choreographic piece, one has an intention and one expects that the work will communicate some kind of meaning or will engage some kinesthetic emotional response from the audience. It's the same thing when you have dance on camera. You select a location or environment. You create an environment, albeit a scenic one, that is intended to communicate a particular meaning or feeling, and that's created to actually garner a particular kinesthetic response from the audience that's watching it. And so location is important when you're doing a film because it's almost like a set on a stage. It also helps to communicate the meaning and the intention of the piece. It also has its own kind of motion. As for example, if you decide to dance by the sea, one expect there's motion in the sea that will then also affect the choreography, and there has to be a dialogue between the movement of the dance and the movement of the waves. So depending on what you're trying to get across. So environment is important for the kind of meaning that you want to communicate. It's also important for the kind of movement that the dance is able to perform or that can be choreographed in this space. And it's also important for the kind of shooting that can be done, in this space. So for example, if you're in a space that offers multiple angles and multiple levels, one can shoot from above, one can shoot from below, one can shoot from different angles. Some spaces are more restrictive, other spaces or environment allow for greater, what we also call framing of the shot. Because one of the things about using camera is that the camera commands the viewer. Just like if you're in a theater, depending on where you sit, you get a different experience. If you sit in the corner where there's a pole blocking you, you only see, like sometimes you go to the theater, they give you reduced price for the limited view. Yeah. So it's the same thing with the camera. You can choose to frame what you want the audience to see and how you want them to see it. So we're talking about, the framing techniques as well, or what can be framed. So sometimes in an environment, if it has grills and doors and stuff, it creates different kinds of openings through which the audience can view the dance. So, it depends on what your intention is. So environment is important for communicating your intention. It's important for framing the view for the audience, what you'd like them to see and how you want them to see it. And then it allows for different kind of angles through which you can shoot, in order to create particular effects that again would either heighten the experience that you want the audience to have or heighten the kind of response that you want the audience to experience.
Good. So we're talking about the environment. We're talking about the various or the angles of the camera. Dancing for the frame. All right. So we're talking about two best practices. Are there any other consideration in terms of best practice?
Well, certainly, using framing techniques, choosing the right environment, like we mentioned. Another one is your post-production manipulations, So that has to do with the editor or whoever is editing, where they, together with the choreographer, they should be able to work together to decide what other cinematic techniques they're going to use in order to complete the final piece of choreography. Because now we say that you're choreographing for screen now. So there's a screen, the person has already danced in real time.
Yes.
Now we can add more cinematic effects in order to suspend time, suspend space, suspend how the body is perceived in the space. So for example, there's some techniques such as slowing down what the dancer did in real time, or
Yes.
speeding up to create a particular effect. There's some other things that you can invert the choreography by using particular editing techniques, which you wouldn't be able to do in real time.
Yes.
If you decided to choose several locations, you can have this effect of the dancer dancing in multiple spaces at the same time, which is what you could never do in real time.
Real time.
So you find that with the dance and film, it opens up more possibilities for the dance and the choreographer. And with the editor and these post-production manipulations, you can actually create a different kind of dance than the one that was actually performed, to create something that's far more interesting, far more experimental, and far more edgy than that was possible with the human body.
Okay, good. Like sounding good. So we're reflecting on the roles and responsibility of various personnel. So you spoke about the choreographer, the editor, and the videographer. Is there anything specific for each? I know some persons are blessed and they can do all three, yes. But are there any specific responsibility for the choreographer, the editor, and the videographer?
I think most importantly, I don't know, because the lines are blurred in kind of those roles in most things, that oftentimes the videographer is the chief editor. But I think what's going to be key is that there has to be communication and dialogue among all the people who are involved. So you can't have a situation where the choreographer makes the dance and then decides that the editor must just do the editing, or decides that, because the ultimate end result has to be a negotiation between among all the people involved. So the editor has to also bring forth skills that the dancer may not have.
Right.
To be able to expose it. So usually how the process works is the dancer creates a storyboard.
Right. Before
you do the film, you create a storyboard of what your scenes are. Scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. So this is now film language. This is where the videographer, the filmmaker can help you. If they have that, where you set up a storyboard, you kind of give an idea of what you order, how you want the film to pan out first. Scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. And then you go into production mode. The videographer, filmmaker will already have that information. And so the two people are in the know. So then they can help guide what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to achieve. So oftentimes the dancer doesn't have the skill of the filmmaker, you know. And so I think one thing that's best practice is if the choreographer, hopefully the choreographer is not the dancer, which often happens, because you need an external eye, like a director eye who has danced, which should be the role of the choreographer, to help to direct the editor on what they would like the audience to see, which details they'd like the filmmaker to focus on, when, how, and the angle. So I would say one of the practices to make sure that while you have a dancer performing, that the choreographer is directing alongside the videographer to help sure they capture the right moments that the choreographer desires. Then when it goes into editing mode, the choreographer should be there helping with the editor to say how to splice, edit, put apart, reassemble in order to create the particular impact. It's not good to just give it to the editor and expect them to do something with it. They're just going to give you back the dance that you did. But obviously the music is going to be nicely done and fade in and fade out. But dance for camera is more than just fading in and fade out. You want the editor, you want the choreographer, you want the camera itself to act like a third eye, and you need that camera to act as a choreographer. So therefore the choreographic skills has to come in there with the editor to help them direct what you want to do. Suppose if you wanted to repeat something, you know, if you wanted to reverse something, if you wanted a particular angle because you thought that was more impactful for the feeling that you're trying to communicate, that's going to come from the choreographer, not the editor.
Right.
Because the editor
So,
sees angles, while the choreographer sees more the intention and the meaning and the direction of the piece.
in this camera world, there is a additional disposition that the dancer ought to have. You're not dancing for a direct audience, but you are dancing for the camera. What are some of the sensibilities that this dancer that is dancing for the camera should consider?
That's a very good question. A very important one. I think one of the first things, or one of the more poignant things I think, is that camera kind of de-hierarchize your body parts. So what I mean by that is that your face is not the dominant feature. You know?
Can you repeat that word? It de what?
De-hierarchize.
Okay.
Like, your body parts. So usually when you go, you think of face.
Yes.
Yeah. While when it comes to dancing now, all your body parts, even the things that are often insignificant on a stage, like your toenails or like your fingernails or like your knuckles, your elbows, they all become actually equally powerful, like your face and like anything else on the camera. And so one has to make sure that you have that body awareness, that every body part can be featured. Every body part can be, you know, if the director or wants a close-up of your hands alone or your ears, every part of your body has to be more alert then.
Okay.
I think as dancers, we tend to look at the limbs and the arms and the face.
Yes.
But when it comes to screen, you know, in order to create the impact, all of the body carries equal power and equal weight, depending on where the choreographer wants to come from. So that's the difference. And when we're dancing on a stage, also the distance between you and the camera can also be very close, and that can make dancers very uncomfortable. In theater, the lights are out and we see pitch black to the audience sometimes, and there's a space between us and the audience. Now with the camera, you swear you can see your hair on the camera. So it's a matter of, you know, you've got to switch there and realize, okay, not be judgmental, but saying that it's just one of those things that the camera will limit the space between you and there are lots of, because when I work with my students here in Cape Town, some of them really crumble under they feel like their creativity is just suddenly stifled because there's a camera that's scrutinizing their body, you know, because it's so close.
Right.
And so it's something that they'll have to get comfortable with. But certainly they will learn that they don't need to look in the camera. You don't need to gaze into the camera. Exactly. But and that's why you need a director to help to direct, to see what angle the camera should be and where their focus should be, you know. But I think that would be one of the first thing I would say. You're not dancing to entertain the camera either.
Okay.
You're not dancing to entertain the camera. If they see dance on film as the video, as music videos, you know, music videos, everybody is entertaining, everybody looking at the camera and last. The dance for camera is looking for other deeper things than just a face smiling. It's looking for the body in relation to the space, body in relation to the environment, the body in relation to the time and the angles and frame of the screen. So just saying each part of your body is important to start to value all of it when it comes to screen for camera. Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Say hi to family and friends.
I will, and thank you for the work that you're doing. I'll continue to follow you. I'm always excited when new things come up, and because you know, culture is dynamic, society is dynamic, and we must not remain stagnant. We must definitely move with the digital age that we're in. And I really hope that artists and other, and not necessarily only dance artists, but other multimedia artists will see this as a new platform in which to expand their wings and create newer forms of expression that are relevant to Jamaica in this day and age, as we would say. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Patrick.
So welcome, Mrs. Lisa Wilson. How are you doing?
Hi, Patrick.
Noble, Cynthia Noble. I am seeing Miss Peter, yes, and I'm seeing Miss Yannick. No, my bright students, Yannick, Miss Peter, and Dr. Patricia Noble. What are some of the takeaways from Mrs. Lisa Wilson's presentation? What have you learned so far? Yes, because we're going to assess as we go along. Yes, we're not going to wait until the end. So what are some of the takeaways from Mrs. Wilson's presentation?
Okay, start, sir.
Yes, Dr. Patricia Noble, go right ahead.
Yeah, it was so interesting that I had to really look at that and say, oh my God, we're really into a new dimension of things now. And when I heard her talking about the importance between what you have to have between the videographer, the editor, and the choreographer in terms of your production. And another thing that I learned is the dance on camera is like a third eye.
Yes.
And all your body parts are equally powerful and should be more alert when it comes on to the screen.
She used the word de-archicize.
Yeah, whatever that word is, I don't remember it. But it's a big word.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big word. But I think it was very interesting, Patrick. And if we could get this going, it would be really, really something to be JCDC to be commended for.
Yes, 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 because we have good choreographers, you know, in the
Yes, we
competition.
do.
We just
Yes, we
need
do.
to create, this is another environment for them to work creatively.
Right, right.
Good. Who wants to go next?
Okay. All right. Who is speaking?
This is Mrs. Slowly, Peter Slowly
Right.
here.
Okay.
So go, Miss Peter Slowly. Miss Peter Slowly, you go first.
All right. It was very interesting. I now see where I can still move up in age and still be a part of JCDC. So I don't see retirement anytime soon. And what was nice about it, when she was doing her presentation, I could see in the future a lot of dancers becoming stars, like real Broadway stars coming out of Jamaica, because this is something new, but this is also something we never dove into, as JCDC has now enlightened us where this is concerned. And I'm talking about enlighten the small person, the choreographer, the person always in the background. And a lot of times you have a vision of what you want to choreograph, but it doesn't move too far. It goes so much and no more. Now I can see it moving even further.
Good, 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 good. Good. Next student, Miss Marshall.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Yes, so basically, it was very informative, I must say. As Miss Pat Noble mentioned, hi.
Hi,
Miss Noble. Yeah, as she mentioned earlier on, when she when Auntie Lisa mentioned about the camera being the third eye, I was like, wow, I never thought of that. I sit back and I'm like, really? That makes sense. You understand? And then when I look at it to say that the screen dance, I call it screen dance, yeah. The screen dance is created through the interaction between the camera operator and the dancer. That's like, you would, all right, say that you know it, but when you really hear somebody talking about it and you really go in depth and you really look and say, whoa, really and truly, that's what it is about. And you never really thought about it like that until the person got in depth in the information. So I am really grateful for this workshop. I'm learning a lot. Trust me, hopefully I can put it to the test. Yes, so thank you so much. And I hope we can get more of these workshops going. Yes, this in-depth workshop about dancing on screen or screen dancing or dance on camera.
Very good. You're learning. You're using the various terms. Well, our last presentation for the day, you are going to view the dance from the third eye perspective, according to Mrs. Wilson, right? So stay tuned. Now we're going to watch another presentation. Good. We're going to watch another video dance presentation and look at it and try to identify some of the things that Mrs. Wilson was talking about. When you set a sail to work, you have to be deliberate in the features that you're going to consider, you're going to use. So watch carefully.
هيدي الارض انا اللي كنت هون اول شيء هو اللي ياخذها مني منه مثلي انا الكبير بحبني انا اسود اخضر ازرق انا ابيض هو اكثر انا اصغر وهو كبيره غير كبيره بس انا اصغر لانه انا كبيره حيساعدني اتخلص منه هو هيك انا ما بقى فيي كله حيدا من وراه هو
I'm dizzy. I'm going around and around. And beautiful work. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. Yes. So we're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. Seeing different perspective, how you use the body, how you use the environment, how you use the camera, how you use your traditional music. Good? How you use your traditional music, and not because he was using the traditional music, which starts with a didgeridoo from Australia. There were other instruments in it, and even though the choreographer was using a traditional music, he wasn't using traditional steps. Yeah, but you get the sense of the folk form being explored in the presentation. One of the things I want us to understand that in this competition, you want to dance for the past, but also dance for the present, but also dance for the future. Yes? So everything don't have to be dinky mini. You see what I mean? But you can explore creative ways of using the music, the step, to reflect what is in your head. Now, before we go into our next presenter, I'm going to show you another video and you will understand why. Yes, this is a music video and it is rated PG-18. I want to know from now, right? It's a music video. Our next presenter is Mr. Winston Wilkins. He is an editor and he is working with dancers. In most of his music videos, he uses the power of movement to enhance the presentation. The center of the video, of the music video, is not dance, it's about the singer, yes? But he uses the dancer's body to enhance, right? So let us watch that presentation.
The DEM Spice, Antifa. Something starts and I'm not. That's why you're mad. Tap on ya. That's why you're mad. Hotter than you. And that's why you're mad. Girl, your bad mind bad. And that's why you're mad. Girl, you sit down and watch me and don't want to see me prosper. You alone fi make it look a greedy cookie monster. One thing me have to tell you bad prayer got no answer. Hate me for my style, me fi yes, I'm a pastor. People go quit when you see me do not hear me. Wagon is back in the days they used to feel me. Shut them out. The two people start real me. Make you a switch and come over and I die. See 10 seconds. Me think about the fire still under the kettle. So all the money you are spend, all the people you are bring. Stop the shining and see why it gets you. And I'm not. That's why you're mad. It's up on you. That's why you're mad. Hotter than you. And that's why you're mad. Now you're mad, mind bad. And that's why you're mad. All the all where them a fling, I'm so blessed. They full up a bad blessing, them so dead. Only thing left to do, I feel them come take my life. But Father God protect my interest. Don't go tell you what your man said, we no afraid of them. I straight up the over devil from now to end. Me and the realest girl, no fake, me no pretend. Now me glad say me lose some hypocrite friends. Easy, it's and settle. Me think about the fire still under the kettle. So all the money you are spend, all the people you are bring. Stop me shining, I see why it a get you. Nah, that's why you're mad. It's up on ya. That's why you're mad. Me a done ya. That's why you're mad. Come on, my bad. That's why you're mad. Look up your daughter, not stink with jealousy. All you a chat, less still a fall from me. Back on my second, not like ugly. I ugly party in and the outside. People go quit when you see me, do not hear me. Wagon is back in the days you used to feel me. Shut them out of two people, start real me. Make you a switch and come over and I die. It's and settle. But think about the fire still under the kettle. So all the money you are spend, all the people you are bring. Stop shining and see why it a get you. Nah, that's why you're mad. It's up on ya. That's why you're mad. Me a done ya. That's why you're mad. Oh, but my bad. That's why you're mad. That's why you're mad.
Good, good. So this is a music video. Mr. Wilkins is a music creator, a music editor. He's going to be talking about the business objective of the video presentation, the script objective, the market in which the video is shown, and how you have to take into consideration the rules and regulation of that space. You have to think about the age appropriateness of that space. Good. So even though this was PG-18, I show you because I want you to think about other objectives when you start to choreograph. Good. So let us listen to Mr. Wilkins. Enjoy.
Here with us, we have Mr. Winston Wilkins. Good. A friend of mine, but also.
So.
Can see some of his work. You will be seeing some of them, yes. And let me at the beginning, sir, thank you so much for considering to participate in this workshop, Dance on Camera workshop. Thank you so much, sir.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, good. So, Dance on Camera is a new approach for dancers in Jamaica. But you have been working in the music industry and you would have been using dancers to enhance these music videos. With that knowledge, I want you to share with us your world, yes? So we will start by looking at what we call the business objective and the story objective.
Right. So before I go into the business objective, let me start off with a little background as to how I got into music videos, because it was quite accidental. And then we can start to talk about some of the priorities that we had to consider while working with dancers, artists, producers, and so on. So it was about 1997 when I had left school to do electrical engineering. Bauxite industry was just about shrinking drastically with other manufacturing industry in Jamaica. And so a lot of us technical talent didn't have that job security that our parents had 20 years before. So we had to start looking at other opportunities. One of those opportunities was in the digital cable industry. Before this time, people only knew television to be free to air, like an antenna on a TV or a satellite dish. You point it in a direction in the sky and you get videos from foreign, whether it be MTV or BET, and that was how you got entertainment. Now, at that point in time, there were licenses given out for cable service operators that could produce their own local content, but they couldn't take content from overseas and show it on television. They had to fill it up with their own content. And the cheapest content that you could find at the time was music videos. You had people like Lookington and Stereo Belly that used to set up a camera set up in their backyard. And you'd have artists that would just perform the camera. Yes. And as one artist finish perform, another artist come in and they basically be pressing record and and putting a very basic edit together and sending it to Music Plus, Hype TV, and RET TV. These were the early cable stations of the day.
Okay.
Now, if you were a Jamaican dancehall entertainer at the time, or if you were male dancehall entertainer at the time, it was fairly easy to get into that pipeline. If you were a female entertainer, it was difficult to get into that pipeline. It was also difficult to get onto radio. And so we started to look at, an associate of mine started to look at opportunities that he was seeing with getting a few music videos, but not having that vision realized by, let's say, producers and directors that were prioritizing just the gritty dancehall content that was available at the time. He saw a vision to make the female artists look pretty and make the visuals impactful, like you would see on an MTV or on a BET, but right here in Jamaica using Jamaican content. And the female artists were not getting the type of radio airplay that they desired to get in order to get bookings on stage shows, both locally and festivals overseas. So there was this demand for a new type of content that would make its way onto digital and cable. So my friend, Dexter Pottinger, for some of those who would have known him, is not with us anymore. He put together the look, and I put together the edit, and in most cases, the story that would take the female artists and their performance and package it in a way that would dominate the cable rotations. And the cable stations were happy to have this type of quality content. And the Japanese disc jockeys and the European disc jockeys would come to Jamaica to get this content directly from the cable stations, carry them overseas to promote festivals, and these artists would get work. A side effect of these female artists patterning the MTVs and the BETs and adapting to our local communities was that we had opportunities for dancers to perform in our videos. And we realized that as these dancers got packaged in our videos, the promoters and producers of shows overseas wanted to have the dancers come with the artists. But there would be no opportunity for the dancer without the artists, and there would be no opportunity for the artists without the producers. So we had to identify and appreciate the business objectives for doing these videos. And that dictated what type of cameras we used, what type of locations we were going to be choosing, because it had to have enough space and for dancers to do their performances. It had to have backgrounds and scenes that were complementary to the look and feel of the artists that we were working with, so that it all tied together to tell that story that would attract that audience that would eventually buy tickets to come to the shows, that would then pay for the music videos to be made in the first place. So that hopefully gives you an idea of how the business objectives came together and created employment of not just dancers, but artists and electrical engineers like me who couldn't find work during a time when the bauxite industry was not giving us work.
All right, good, good, good. So we understand what the business objective is. Good.
Yes.
Tell me a little more about the story objective.
Okay.
And what that is.
Okay, good. So when we package an artist for an audience, and we put that audience, we put that artist on TV in front of the audience, we are in fact telling a story to that audience. So even if there is a story that's being told in the lyrics of the song, or even if the story is just told in the visuals and the performances of either the artists or the dancers, if the audience was asked after they watch the content, what was that about? They have to, in their mind, put a story together to tell, this was what this music video was about. Whether or not it was a clear story or not, they would have had to describe the dancing, the emotion that they felt, any conflict, any resolution, any resolve to the components of the video. They would have had to describe the emotional state of the artist. This is the happy song, it's the high energy song, it's a song about dancing, it's a song about new romance, it's a song about love lost. And so that story is what stays with your audience. Therefore, if we are to create an effective music video, we have to make sure that the makeup of the artist, the clothes that the artists wear, the type of camera that we're using, the dancers that we're using in the video, support the story that the audience has to walk away with. So the director of the video, it has to work with the choreographer of the dancer, of the dance routine, to then communicate to the dancers, this is the story that we have to tell at the end of it. So we have those objectives from the very beginning.
So as you say that, what is it?
Good. So Mr. Wilkins was talking about the story objective and the business objective. If you are now correlating, linking Mrs. Wilson's presentation and Mr. Wilkins' presentation, you would identify some similarities. He focuses on the business objective, dollars and cents, and using that to determine what the outlook is, because he's creating the music video for a particular marketplace, and the story objective must go in alignment with what the business objectives are. Good. So we're going to go now into our live presentation right here. I'm going to show you a video that was created by Mr. Orville McFarlane. It is entitled We Matter. At the end of it, I will talk to him about his choices. Yes, and then now he will actually compose a movement sequence and direct the videographer in terms of what shots he wants, what he wants you to see. Good. So you're going to see the videographer in the process, the making. Yes. We're not going to have the opportunity to see the edited work, but you can see the recording process, because process is important. What you shoot is important. If you don't select the right shots, if you don't shoot the right shots, then the post-editing work is going to be horrible. Good. So watch this presentation on We Matter.
this bitter earth. Well, what the fruit it bears. This bitter earth. And if my life is like the dust, ooh, that hides the glow of a rose, what good am I? Heaven only knows. Ah, this bitter earth. Yes, can be so cold. Today you're young, too soon you're old. But while a voice within me cries, I'm sure someone may answer my call. And this bitter earth, may not, oh, be so bitter after all. This bitter earth, ah, this bitter earth. What good is love? That no one shares. And if my life is like the dust, ooh, that hides the glow of a rose.
Welcome to our final presentation of the day. And with us, we have Mr. Orville McFarlane, a graduate of the Edamande College of the Visual and Performing. He also is a student of the Morant Bay High School. At that school, he entered the JCDC dance competition. Look at that. Now, just saw was created by Mr. McFarlane. Yes? So the other presentation was international. Yes? Um, this presentation was locally produced and the standard was still yes? So even before JCDC is considers to offer it in the context of a through the process of creation, we matters. All right, so I want to the movement first, or you start, you want the camera to see?
Well, ideally, I normally
Right, so let us break for a little, make some technical.
Isn't it on? It's on.
So welcome back. Right. So looking at it from the movement perspective or from the camera's perspective?
Initially, I normally, because I'm a choreographer first, and this is a new wheelhouse for me, I normally look at it as movement first. But I found, because I had to step in the role of a videographer, I had to also look at it from the video perspective. So they both kind of go hand in hand, and I had to somewhat not only produce vocabulary to sell the story that I'm trying to sell, but also create vocabulary that will captivate the audience on camera. So I also have to think of the camera all the time. So it's a partnership, it's a relationship, really.
Okay, good, good, good. So you have to think about what the camera is going to see and what is in your head from a choreographer's standpoint. So when you were communicating with the dancers, we are used to a proscenium arch stage where we have space. Now, in the context of dance on camera, you have to dance within the frame.
Right.
You have to dance in the frame. So how was there a challenge doing that?
Initially, yes. But the more I do it, the more practice I'm getting and understanding the skills and the techniques that I need to achieve what I want to achieve. But what we need to think about is that just like you create dance for proscenium stage where you have upstage, downstage, all of those different directions and stuff that you play with on stage, your camera now becomes that tool that takes you on that journey between the different parts of the stage.
Okay.
So your camera is essentially what is going to make it feel like it's upstage, make it feel like it's downstage, make it feel like it's close up, all of those different things. So of course I have to before prep my dancers, like, look, this is going to be somewhat of a tedious process. You're going to have to keep reproducing the same choreography over and over and over because we want the best product. We have to shoot from different angles to get different viewpoints.
Yes.
And so they have to come in prepared to go over and over that choreography again, trying to replicate it at the same level each time because you want to have the best takes to use when you're editing.
Okay, good. In the last quarter of the presentation, there was a section where the dancer wanted to scream. So the dancer started from a minute scream into this massive shout. How was it communicating that thinking to the dancers, just to ensure that they are understanding what is in your head?
Well, in choreography, generally, when you're creating something that is speaking about a specific topic, you want to have that discussion with the dancers, either before and during and after. I prefer to do it all the way through. So I prep them before, continuously prep them through the process, and even after, tell them like, this is what I'm trying to convey. Because the story can stay there in your head, but if the dancers don't understand what you're trying to get across, they're just going to reproduce movement.
Right.
And that's mechanical. You
Right.
want to reproduce the movement, but also give it passion and soul and sell that story. So I normally have the conversation with them. For this particular one, it was in a climate where we're going through a lot of social injustice against Black people and so on. And I am not a very vocal person.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go on the internet and type up a long thing, whatever. I'm artistic. So I was like, how can I contribute to this conversation in my own way? So I decided to produce this work and rallied the dancers together, had a discussion with them, said, look, we're talking about this. We know what it's like. We see it happening everywhere. We are living this experience, not because we're in a majority Black country, we're living this experience. This has happened to our ancestors. So we need to feel those emotions, and it's getting to the point of frustration. So to get that scream, I was like, I don't want it to be very trite. I don't want it to be very fake.
Right.
I want it to come from a very genuine place. So I coach them through it, build it up, feel like you're getting to the point of tears, but it's not tears. You want to physically scream out. Every fiber in your being wants to just scream out because you cannot take it anymore. And that's the kind of discussion I had with them.
Oh, good, very good, very good. So right at this moment, we're going to workshop what Mr. McFarlane is talking about. We're going to see him choreographing a movement sequence, and we're going to see the videographer in the moment, and Mr. McFarlane directing him, telling him what the shots are, how to angle the camera, so forth and so on. Right? So you're going to see the wide frame, what is happening in the environment, but also you're going to see it from the third eye, the camera. And we're going to do this in 10 minutes. So stay with us for 10 more minutes, and we will be through by then. Good? So let us create the space. So with him, we have Miss
Shanika Gibbs.
Shanika Gibbs. I cannot forget that name. Cannot forget that name. A beautiful young lady, student of mine. Very respectful, love her to death. Yes? And we have Mr. Jason Went, good, who is the videographer. And he will be taking his camera on set for you to see the magic unfold.
All right. Oh, man, actually. This side? For about 8 counts, very, very slowly, very, very gingerly, so that we can capture a moment here. right, and pause. So what I normally like to do is, I normally like to cut my choreography into pieces so that I know when I'm editing, I have pieces to work with. So I'm not gonna right away video the entire piece off the bat, because this is something they're gonna have to do more than once, and they're gonna have to replicate that same emotion over and over. So what I like to do is cut it apart, right? So for this now, we're gonna just take it slowly. Go ahead with the reach. And we're just gonna do a following shot. So I'm just gonna allow the cameraman to follow her, continue, while she's dancing. So with a following shot, you don't normally get every foot, every arm, every part of the body. But what you do is get a close-up, and it kind of takes you on the journey with the dancer while they're moving. Around, and she's just gonna fall to the floor, and right. And pause. So I normally like to do following shots because you kind of get to go on the journey with the dancer. So you have that those shots to play with, so you can insert it in, because you want to have as many frames as possible. Now let's do the wide angle, where it's just the dancer, it's just a regular wide angle. The camera is there, the dancer is moving, has the entire space for themselves. They don't have to worry about the camera being close up. So you have two different perspectives already. You have the one that's a following shot. So you're following the dancer while they're moving, while they're dancing, while they're working. And then you have another shot where it's just wide. Begin for me, Shanika. 6, 7, and da 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 da. Ti di 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 pa. And ta ta ah ti ta ah ah ta ta ah ah ta ta ha ah ah and ah reach. Right. So that's what thank you. That's my wide angle shot, right? So that's already, I have two shots that I'm working with, a wide angle shot, and then I have a close-up following shot. Now you have to know your choreography and know that there are key moments that you might want to pull out. So come again for me. So you have to kind of develop a relationship with your editor. And I heard Ms. Wilson spoke about it, your editor and your videographer, you have to develop a relationship, right? Because you have to allow them to see what you're seeing in your head so they can capture that. So in this first beginning moment, there's a beautiful moment of stillness where you can capture a lot of emotions in the face, in the eyes, and everything. So when she's rolling up, just do a really tight, close angle up. And then just give me a moment of stillness when you arrive to the top, Shanika, and just go right into her face. And pause. So that right there already is a beautiful moment to cut to. So you're drawing the audience in, they're seeing the emotion already in the dancer's face close up, so that when it shifts from close up to far away, you're still a part of the journey. You're still experiencing the emotion with the dancer. You're still on that journey. Also, you can take it from diagonal. Remember, this is choreography. You have your upstage, your downstage, your center, your all of that. So there are different angles you can take it from a diagonal. Come with me, sir. So she can move. Just mark through the choreography for me, Shanika. So he's on the diagonal, just stay on the diagonal. So that's already is a different angle that you're seeing the body from. You're seeing her movements on the diagonal. Da da da. Di 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 pa. And pause. Now you have 4 diagonals in dance, right? You have the upstage, right and left, downstage, right and left. So you have those 4 different diagonals playing from. I was just using the downstage right diagonal. So that's one angle already. You have all of 4 of them to play with. You have dead on. You also have shots where you can go from below. So just do the thing into the jump for me, Shanika, and just kind of get a low angle so that you can see her when she jumps in the air. 6, 7, right? 6, 7, and arabesque and hadasha jump. Stop. Right. So already you have an angle up where you're seeing the jump. The jump now becomes a whole other experience. It feels like you're on the ground watching them jump over your head. So you have to think about your different camera angles and the movements that you're shooting and what movements you're shooting for what angle. Yes, so that's a jump. Let's try when you, at the end, you're on the floor. Let's try to get a kind of overhead shot. Now this is the end. There's also above. For those people who have drones to their disposal and those fancy things, I normally don't. I have to do and turn and make fashion, climb one bench, climb one chair, something to try and get an overhead shot. So you're at the end, Shanika, and you're reaching up to the camera. The camera is over your head. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And just curl the fingers in and down with the head. And thank you, sir. So already that's also an overhead shot. So imagine all of those different angles. You have your following shot, you have your wide shot, you have your diagonals, you have your overhead, you have your below. So when you get all of those different, and you have to take several takes of them, right? When you get all of those together and you go into the editing room, then you can play with what you want to put where and what angle suits what movement best. Yes? We're gonna try it just with the following shot, with the music, so you can kind of feel what it looks like. This is not what the end product would look like, but this is what a following shot with the music, so you kind of get an experience. But imagine it with all the different angles when it's edited. You have your overheads, your under, your all of this. And you have those things where you can play with fancy editing and effects and stuff like that. A key thing though, when you're going to the editing room, this is why your editor and your videographer have to become friends. Because one, your videographer now has to understand the dance. Yes, because a lot of videographers just do videography, right? Now we know dance and we know, okay, I might want a beautiful extension there, and the videographer gets so caught up with the dancer emotion, the leg cut off over here, and him just focus on the dancer face. But you want to catch that leg, so you have to have the discussion with him. Look, she's going to do a slow leg here, so I need you to zoom out so that I can see the leg and the body, and then go back in when she starts to do smaller movements, so you pick up the small movements. When you go into the editing room now, that can also make or break your piece, because too much editing can break it, and too little can also break it. You want it to have that nice balance of editing and capturing your storyline in one. So let's just do a following shot with the music. We're gonna start with her down and slowly coming up from the front. And then you just kind of follow her throughout the process. She's gonna do it with music now. So if I forgot to do some little cardio right about now. So with the music. And up. and cut. All right. So, thank you, Ms. Gibbs. So you've had your little, because this is just a little of what it would really be like, right? Because you know the process is a lot lengthier. It's a tedious process. So you have to go into it prepared that it's going to be a lot of work. It's not just choreographing. You choreograph the dance, you put on the costume, you send them on the stage and whatever. It's going to take multiple takes. It's going to take hours of editing because the best product. You don't want to just slapdash everything together. You also want to make sure that you have the best takes of the dancer, right? Because the dancer also has to look good because that represents the choreography at best, conveys the emotion at best, because you have those close-up shots where you're in their face and you don't want to get close up and then your dancer is blank, just to do some movements because of all about before. So all together, when you go into the editing room, you have to be there with your editor because you have to be there to tell them what you want to convey and how best to capture that, the moments that you want to utilize to capture that. So that being said, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. McFarlane, for allowing us in your mind and to see what is happening. It is obvious that the videographer must be a part of that rehearsal process. So you cannot create the movement sequence and at the end, the videographer is just coming in. No, from the beginning, the videographer must be a part of the process. So if you are desirous of entering this competition, you can reach me at JCDC and we can have one-on-one discussion. It's a new category and I will have to guide you through the process. So I just want to thank you all for staying with us. And if you have any question, you can type it in the chat and type your name, the parish that you're from, and your number, and I will definitely reach out to you. So stay tuned, listen to what is next. Tomorrow we will be having another workshop. That's a practical dance workshop. We will explore folk dance, modern dance, and dancehall. So be there in your dance wear, get ready to sweat. No for only never did that dance, when under lockdown. So come, be prepared to open your camera, but be very sensitive to what you will be wearing because we are streaming live, right? And we don't want to see additional body parts. Yeah, I will not further describe. Yeah, but thank you so much and bless you. The workshop will be at 10 o'clock and it is the same Zoom link ID information. Thank you so much.